This is Yuito, a private second class, and the main character of this film. And this is Nagi, also a private second class, and Yuito's best friend. Nagi was in the middle of introducing himself when Yuito drew his sword and charged in to attack. As today the two of them would be sparring with each other. Nagi dodged the attack, then released a gust of air pushing him back, and attacked Yuito with wind cannons. But Yuito used his skill to turn the metal bars into a wall of protection. Then threw those metal bars toward Nagi. Nagi used wind to block the metal bars, then created a tornado engulfing Yuito, thinking he had surely won. But unexpectedly Yuito was completely unharmed, and even took the opportunity to flick his nose. Suddenly, a notification appeared saying the military induction ceremony was about to begin. Hurry up. Nagi boasted to everyone on the street that today he would be joining the Scarlet Guardian. The news also reported that the Monster Extermination Squad's induction ceremony would take place the next day. Suddenly, Yuito's image appeared on the bulletin board as the most promising member of this year's selection. Yuito is the son of Chairman Joe, and the younger brother of Kaido, the minister of the Monster Extermination Squad. Rumor has it that Yuito's brain power compatibility is quite low, and Yuito understands this. So Nagi encouraged him that from now on they are both monster extermination soldiers, so just ignore those rumors. Suddenly, a monster warning appeared. Unexpectedly, they came to cause trouble on this happy day. The cameras detected the monsters, and they were blocked by the wall. A man led his teammates there, and with just one move, he shattered the monster into beautiful cherry blossom petals. This man is Karen, a major general. His alias is Super Brain Power, Brain Eater. The remaining monster tried to escape, but was petrified by Major General Spring's technique. The citizens watching the battle of these two cheered like they were watching idols. Yuito touched his earring and remembered the voice of a woman, telling him he must continue living. Yuito and Nagi were sitting in the stands waiting for the opening ceremony to begin, and Nagi noticed a very beautiful blonde girl. Her name is Naomi, sitting next to her twin sister, Kasane. Suddenly, Naomi turned to look at Yuito, but was stopped by Kasane. Commander Karen then stepped up to deliver his speech. In this nation constantly threatened by monsters, they are the chosen ones because they have super brain power, and super brain power needs to combine together to overcome difficulties. Currently, they only know that monsters come from the boundary region of the stratosphere, with no additional information. Therefore, those with the ability to deal with monsters are the important foundation of defense. From this moment on, all of them will be monster extermination soldiers, members of the Scarlet Guardian. Everyone then received a certificate with their name on it. After that speech, Nagi and Yuito went to have coffee and talk. Nagi asked Yuito how old he was when he was saved by that person. Yuito remembered it was probably around 5 years old. Suddenly, Nagi said he found it, and Yuito thought he had found the identity of the woman who saved him. But it turned out Nagi was searching for information about the blonde girl from earlier. Naomi is the eldest daughter of the prestigious Randall family. Nagi discovered that when Kasane was young, her parents were killed by monsters. After that, she was adopted by the Randall family and became sisters with Naomi, who is the same age. Kasane was recruited into the Monster Extermination Squad at just 12 years old and was the top of her training class, while Naomi ranked 5th. Yuito felt the name Kasane and the Randall family were somehow familiar. He had met those two girls at his father's inauguration party. Although Nagi couldn't find any documents related to the woman who saved Yuito, he patted his friend's shoulder and told him to go pursue Kasane, while he himself would pursue Naomi. In the changing room, Naomi felt happy that Kasane hadn't changed. This morning, she said she had another dream about red threads. In the dream, there was a voice telling her not to let go. Don't open the red threads. Naomi didn't know what the dream meant, whether it was related to Kasane's super brain power or not. But Kasane said that compared to that, she was more worried about Naomi, wondering if they would be assigned to the same team. Because Naomi's personality is a bit clumsy, Kasane always wanted to protect her sister. Nagi and Yuito were walking in the hallway when suddenly a girl came running toward them. This girl is Hanabi, Yuito's childhood friend. She came to tell them that she and Yuito were assigned to the same team. Yuito wondered why he didn't see Hanabi during the training period, and she said it was because she was in the recruitment group. This is Captain Sito, with the super brain power of electricity discharge. From today, he will be the team leader of Yuito's group. Their first lesson is learning how to share super brain power to fight side by side. The new recruits introduce themselves one by one. Hanabi has the super brain power of creating fire. Nagi has the ability to control air, and Yuito has the ability to control objects with his will. Then it was the veterans' turn to introduce themselves. Lieutenant Tsugumi with the super brain power of X-ray vision, and this guy is Corporal Kojiro with the ability of invisibility. Suddenly, they received a warning that there were confirmed signs of monsters appearing in the sky above the Suzaku area. At the scene, the anti-aircraft guns had eliminated most of the monsters, while the rest were still descending to the ground. This is Second Lieutenant Wataru with the super brain power of sensing. He will sit and direct everyone. Nagi was eager to show off, but Wataru ordered him and Yuito to stay back and wait for reinforcements, as it was only their first day of enlistment, and they were already eager to get themselves killed. Today the two of them just needed to stand and observe. And with that said, the others began using their super brain powers and charged into battle. The monsters were also falling from the sky at this moment. Yuito and Nagi watched their teammates fight with their mouths wide open. Team Kyoka also arrived at this time, which is the group Kasane is in. Suddenly, a notification appeared saying a child was separated from her mother. Yuito would go rescue that girl, while Nagi would go find reinforcements, but Nagi wanted to go with him. Despite Wataru's request for them to wait for reinforcements, Nagi argued back, asking what would happen to that girl if they delayed. When they arrived at the girl's location, she was being threatened by a monster. Memories of that woman once again appeared in Yuito's mind. He used his ability to control objects, throwing iron barrels at the monster, and quickly picked up the girl and ran. Nagi stayed behind to hold off the monster, but was no match for it. Fortunately, Yuito was able to distract it in time. Naomi then arrived too. She used her ability to predict the future, judging the monster's actions, then decisively grabbed Nagi's hand and ran past them. Suddenly, a monster dove down from the sky, but luckily Naomi reacted in time and eliminated it. As for Yuito, he was fighting that monster when he tripped and fell. Unexpectedly, iron barrels flew toward and knocked the monster away. It turned out to be Kasane. She also has the same super brain power as Yuito. With Kasane's support, Yuito successfully controlled the extremely heavy iron barrel to crush and kill the monster. Suddenly, Yuito saw this girl's figure looked very similar to the person who saved him. At this moment, Naomi and Nagi had also returned. Broadcasting drones arrived to film Yuito's victory, and the girl with the super brain power of speed, Captain Arashi, suddenly ran over and said the interview ends here. As for Yuito and everyone else, Lieutenant Colonel Luca used his teleportation ability to transport them to another place. The monsters had killed 2 monster extermination soldiers in this attack. Their bodies were missing heads, because these monsters are brain-eating monsters. They had thought monsters were just a disaster, but behind this there is a very big conspiracy. Karen believes that what should truly be destroyed is this insane country. Kasane had another nightmare about the red thread and woke up startled to find Naomi beside her. Naomi invited Kasane to go out and play since they had no missions until noon. Normally we have weather forecasts, but here they have monster appearance probability forecasts. Yuito told Nagi about his thoughts. He thinks the woman who saved him is Kasane. But Nagi thought that judging by appearance alone isn't very reliable, because who would have thought Captain Arashi is Captain Fubuki's older sister? Naomi and Kasane were strolling on the street. Meanwhile, Nagi and Yuito were heading to a shrine that is the tomb of Yuito's ancestors. Today the two of them would come here to draw fortune slips from the god Arabaki, and unexpectedly met Naomi and Kasane, who also came here to draw fortune slips. Nagi took the opportunity to invite Naomi to have tea after drawing fortune slips, so Kasane hurriedly stopped them. Suddenly, Yuito asked if Naomi and Kasane have an older sister, but their family only has the 2 of them as sisters. Yuito continued to ask if anyone in their family had ever joined the monster extermination squad, but no one had. Kasane started to become curious, so Nagi quickly pulled Yuito to draw fortune slips. Yuito, Nagi and Kasane all drew great misfortune. Only Naomi drew great fortune. Nagi was so frustrated he was going to throw away his fortune slip, but Yuito used his control ability to pull it back. Naomi then took the 3 fortune slips and tied them up to dispel the bad luck, saying from now on let's all do our best together. In the command room, Kaido reported to Joe that the Saren army was near the abandoned underground railway of Suzaku. Although they said it was to investigate monsters, there was intelligence suggesting their actions were very suspicious. Joe requested increased surveillance, and also asked Kaido about Yuito. Kaido said since Yuito enlisted he hadn't had a chance to talk to him, but he also couldn't give the kid special treatment. Yuito's mind seemed to rewind, and he suddenly realized he was on a battlefield, not at the shrine. The commander then stepped forward, saying today they would have a joint training exercise welcoming the new recruits of Team Sito and Team Kyoka. The rules were simple. 5 members of Team Sito would have a mock battle against 5 members of Team Kyoka. Whichever team captures the flag in the center first wins. Suddenly Sito noticed Team Kyoka was missing one person. It turned out Arashi was sleeping in the corner. Arashi being lively on TV is work mode Arashi, but in real life she is very lazy. The two teams then took their positions, and Naomi turned to tell Yuito to do their best. Kasane suddenly remembered childhood memories with Naomi. Kasane asked if Naomi was interested in Yuito, making her blush completely. It's not exactly interest, just feeling he's okay. Kasane heard this and said she would go see if Yuito is worthy of her sister. This blue-haired guy is Lieutenant Shiden, with the super brain power of electricity discharge. And this is Captain Gemma with the super brain power of hardening objects. The competition then began. Everyone quickly raced against each other, using their own skills to hinder the opponents. Naomi easily dodged Nagi's attack using her ability to foresee the future. Tsugumi used her X-ray vision skill and saw Arashi sleeping behind the car. Gemma faced off against Kajiro, and although Kajiro has the ability to become invisible, Gemma still predicted his moves. Hanabi faced off against Shiden. Yuito faced off against Kasane. Since both have the ability to control objects, there was no need to charge at each other. Both continuously threw objects at the opponent. Kasane even threw an entire car toward Yuito. Suddenly, the competition stopped. Team Sito had won. The simulated battlefield also shut down, and they returned to the real world. Kasane complimented Yuito, but said she still needs to observe more to see if he's worthy of her sister. Yuito unexpectedly received a message from his father. His father congratulated him on enlisting, although he had always opposed this. But don't get hurt. If you've become a member of the monster extermination squad, it proves you can handle things on your own, and taking this opportunity, he wants to tell him about family matters and about his deceased mother. He said next time please come have a meal with Kaido. He will contact him later. Suddenly, they received a notification that monsters had appeared, the location being where the Saren army was. Communication functions may be affected. Everything relies on spiritual sensing rather than using the brain to communicate. So hopefully communication functions will be maintained in good condition. The two teams then charged onto the battlefield, and while moving, monsters appeared. All of them transformed and fought the monsters. Communications were jammed so Wataru couldn't inform everyone here. More monsters then appeared from the ceiling, and they had to temporarily retreat. Yuito's group then reunited with Naomi's group. They had lost contact with the two commanders, but monsters of this level surely couldn't trouble those two. Suddenly, Naomi detected monsters diving down from above, causing the tunnel ceiling to collapse and separating Yuito, Kasane from the others. Yuito and Kasane coordinated perfectly and successfully defeated the monster, and the two hurried to find the others. Tsugumi and Gemma were hit by falling rocks, but were unharmed. Tsugumi used her X-ray vision skill and found Nagi and Naomi trapped behind the boulder. Nagi managed to contact Yuito, but suddenly, a large number of monsters were rushing toward both their locations. Gemma punched the boulder, but it didn't budge. Both Yuito and Kasane tried using their control skills, but couldn't do anything either. Suddenly, Kasane suggested they use SAS link connection, which is super brain power connection. They successfully linked their powers to push the boulder away and rescue the two before the monsters could attack them. Kasane was running toward her sister, when Naomi foresaw that her little sister would be attacked. She rushed forward to push Kasane, and although she saved her sister, unfortunately Naomi was hit by that sniper's bullet. Naomi's chest was pierced through. Her consciousness gradually faded. Red patterns appeared all over her body, and ice sprouts continuously grew from her. After writhing in agony, Naomi had been transformed into a monster shaped like a house. Kasane couldn't believe this had happened to her sister. She kept calling out to her sister, and was knocked away by that monster, which then rushed toward the others to attack. Tsugumi's bullets and Gemma's punches had no effect on it. Kasane lay on the ground, drifting into that dream about the thread. Don't let go of the red thread. A blood-red world being sucked up into the sky. Nagi sat trembling in fear, unable to move, while Gemma and Tsugumi had also been knocked away by that monster. The monster then ran toward Nagi, and Yuito quickly rushed over to protect his friend. That monster was Naomi, and when Kasane saw her sister being attacked by Yuito, she ran over to stop him. She even fought back against Yuito, determined to protect her sister. Suddenly, several people teleported in and teleported that monster away elsewhere. Kasane ran after them but was held back by Gemma. Nagi still couldn't understand what was happening to Naomi. Brigade Commander Fubuki had also arrived at this time to check on them. He also knew about Naomi's situation and requested everyone here not to speak of this matter to outsiders. They would report that Naomi had died in battle. Kasane was about to argue, but Gemma agreed with Fubuki. This was an order from the brigade commander, so they had a responsibility to follow it. Kasane was about to run off, but Karen teleported in to block her. How dare she act on her own during an operation? Kasane wasn't afraid of anyone at this point. She even attacked Karen, and was knocked to the ground by him. Back at headquarters, they still couldn't believe that someone as strong and kind as Naomi had experienced this. As long as they remained in the extermination force, such farewells would continue. Fubuki then went to report the situation to Kaido, who was very sorry that a core member of the extermination force had ended up like this, and in Yuito's group no less. Fubuki assured him this matter wouldn't leak outside. Kasane once again dreamed of that dream and woke up startled, but her sister was no longer here. Suddenly, Kasane received a message from her mother, who had received news that Naomi had died in battle. She blamed Kasane for not being able to protect her beloved daughter. From now on, they would cut off contact with Kasane. Kasane was completely devastated at this point. She was about to go report when she met Karen in the hallway. Karen informed her that those who took Naomi were Saren. To turn her back into a human, he had to entrust her to them. They wouldn't kill Naomi. If they brought Naomi back now, she would also be considered a monster and eliminated. That's why they had to keep this secret. Otherwise, not only Naomi's life, but Kasane's existence wouldn't be guaranteed either. Karen also warned her not to trust New Himuka. Yuito was training alone in the training room at this time. He remembered Nagi's expression and Naomi's situation back then, and when he turned around, Kasane was already there. Kasane wanted to talk to Yuito about what Karen had said before. Kasane believed the extermination force was hiding something. Suddenly, Yuito said he had something to show Kasane. He pulled out the Arabaki fortune slip, making her frown, but what he wanted to show was inside. He had picked up something he saw at the scene earlier. Kasane called it an ampoule. He thought it was some kind of medicine, and it had Saren City's logo on it. Kasane also remembered seeing it at her home. For now, this could be considered a clue, but they would keep this secret. Yuito apologized to Kasane for attacking that monster despite knowing it was Naomi, but Kasane told him to stop talking. She would bring her sister back. Though not trying to act cool, Yuito also wanted to bring Naomi back. As for Nagi, since he was taken to the hospital, Yuito hadn't been able to contact him. Being the son of a prestigious family, Yuito was treated specially wherever he went. Only Nagi naturally came to talk to him. Thanks to him, Yuito had come this far. They had just returned to headquarters when Commander Sito came to check on Kasane's health. Sito hoped Kasane wouldn't push herself too hard, not because he was worried about her, but because if someone fights too hard on the battlefield, they might put their teammates in danger. She wasn't alone. She still had teammates by her side. Wataru was sitting when suddenly the screen displayed a monster attack warning. Immediately, Karen summoned all extermination forces. An unprecedented scale alert had been predicted, and they were tasked with eliminating them. Team Sito was standing guard when Nagi ran over. He had been discharged and could return to the battlefield. Yuito asked if Nagi was really okay. He said he was completely fine. His wounds had almost healed. As for Naomi, her death in battle did shock him a bit, but he couldn't stay depressed forever. Yuito was quite surprised to hear this. He told Nagi that Naomi was still alive and had been turned into a monster, but Nagi didn't understand what he was talking about. From now on, they would continue fighting monsters for New Himuka. Yuito couldn't understand what was wrong with Nagi. Kasane was walking when she suddenly imagined that dream appearing before her. They were almost at the predicted location, but it was quite quiet with no monsters, very different from the prediction. Suddenly, Wataru lost contact with everyone. The signal was being jammed. Tsugumi said they were surrounded, but when they looked up it was extermination forces. But no other team was ordered to come here. The leader of that group was Gemma. Gemma told Sito he didn't expect him to research such terrible things, but Sito didn't understand what he was talking about. Kasane saw that dream once again. Right at that moment, Luca teleported in and demanded Gemma retreat immediately, or he would attack them. But unexpectedly, Karen was also on Gemma's side. Luca rushed to attack his brother, but he was no match for Karen and was knocked away. Karen has the ability to copy other people's abilities and make them his own. Knew Himuka had deceived them. Kasane stepped forward to ask if Gemma knew something about her sister. The dream about the red thread kept appearing in her mind, causing her immense pain. But everyone was quite surprised to hear about Naomi. The more Kasane spoke, the more Nagi clutched his head in agonizing pain. After a bout of pain, Nagi seemed to be mind-controlled, singing while walking toward Yuito and Kasane. Gemma then ordered all extermination forces above to attack Team Sito and Kyoka. Kasane still couldn't stand up due to her headache. Yuito couldn't understand why teammates would attack each other. Suddenly, 2 discs flew toward Yuito and Kasane. They were Nagi's. He declared he would take care of both of them. Kasane asked if Nagi was also an accomplice of Brigade Commander Karen. But he didn't know what Karen was planning, and wasn't planning to betray everyone either. Yet he still threw 2 discs straight at Yuito. Luca was still trying to attack his brother, but couldn't. Karen didn't tell Luca anything because he considered the kid incompetent. Sito also couldn't understand why someone as serious as Gemma would act like this. Nagi seemed to have become a different person. He had been strange since arriving here. He clearly witnessed what happened to Naomi, yet said she died in battle. Nagi summoned a tornado that knocked Yuito and Kasane away. Kasane in her daze saw red threads growing from Nagi's body. Nagi at this point seemed to go crazy. He screamed loudly, causing the tornado to grow enormous, then launched it straight at those 2. The stone wall Yuito erected couldn't stop the tornado. Fortunately, Sito arrived in time to protect them. Sito warned that if Nagi killed Yuito, he would regret it. But Nagi didn't care. He gathered a stream of black energy and launched it straight at Sito, then showed a triumphant smile. Captain Sito looked behind him and saw discs flying toward him. Though he destroyed that energy stream, he still couldn't block those discs and was severely injured. Sito still persevered, walking toward Nagi, advising him not to side with those people. He shot lightning to knock Nagi unconscious, then collapsed. Kasane, watching her 2 teammates fall, involuntarily remembered that voice and dream. Don't let go of the red thread. Something had gone wrong in Wataru's control room. Suddenly something happened. Yuito's brain power seemed to malfunction. Red threads surrounded Yuito and Kasane. In the sky above them, a giant black hole appeared, sucking things from the ground up. The ground shook, earth and rocks crumbled. Everyone around was pulled into that black hole. Both Yuito and Kasane had also disappeared. Gemma didn't understand what was happening. Only Karen seemed to know this would occur. Gemma saw Sito being pulled up and rushed over. They all tried to grab hands to hold Sito back, but couldn't. Luca then teleported everyone to safety. Yuito and Kasane then woke up. They had arrived at the place Kasane had seen in her dream. There was a prism reflecting a person who was an extermination soldier from the Sumeragi family. They were watching when suddenly the ground disappeared. Red threads appeared and engulfed Kasane. Yuito tried reaching out, but still couldn't touch her. Yuito woke up startled to find himself back with everyone. Yuito was about to run to the black hole to find Kasane and Nagi, but Tsugumi stopped him. Because if Luca hadn't saved them earlier, they wouldn't be here now. Gemma had also realized he was wrong and had joined Yuito's side, but it seemed he was also injured. In the underground shelter, people using their phones lost connection en masse. Yuito's group had arrived at a nearby shelter. Yuito bandaged Gemma's wounds. When he was young, his body was quite weak, so he was quite skilled at bandaging. Tsugumi couldn't understand how they could talk normally like this. She couldn't forgive Gemma for attacking Sito and indirectly causing his death. Gemma then recounted everything. New Himuka was trying to establish social management, with the capital Suo as the center. First, they organized health checkups to let the government identify brain power users. If recruited into the extermination force, one absolutely cannot refuse. After enlisting, everyone would be forced into development to maintain brain power. Everyone knew this because they had to go eliminate monsters. But Gemma said there was also personality modification. New recruits like Yuito might not know this, but actually it was an open secret. Even Tsugumi knew about this. All of this was controlled by the government, and it seemed Nagi's actions earlier were because he had been personality modified. Gemma was now 54 years old. Eventually his body would age, brain power would gradually decrease, and he would be expelled from the extermination force. Before that, he wanted to find out the truth. Gemma had been led by Karen to believe that Sito was involved in personality modification research. He didn't understand why he didn't trust Sito, but now it was too late. But Brigade Commander Karen didn't oppose the new Himuka government's methods, and seemed to know what happened earlier would occur, proving he had some scheme behind it all. Above the city, the warnings suddenly disappeared. Even though a large number of monsters were invading Central Seoul, Kaido ordered his subordinates to quickly eliminate the monsters. But the defense system wasn't working. Even the phone-like device called Signet was broken too. They couldn't contact the council. Fubuki stood on high looking at the monsters, unable to understand why Karen would do this. Karen muttered that he would take it back. This time he would definitely succeed. Returning to Kasane, she heard Kyoka calling her name and woke up. They were in a place like a forest. Behind them was Kuned Highway under a dark red sky looking like the apocalypse. No one knew what was happening. Somewhere, someone who looked like a samurai sat waiting for Kasane to arrive. The scene on the ground was extremely chaotic. Extermination force members fought hard against the monsters. Yuito for some reason lost focus, standing dazed in the middle of the battlefield, and was approached by a monster. Fortunately, Hanabi arrived in time to protect him. Yuito didn't understand how things had become like this. They tried to contact Wataru but failed, because the Signet network had completely collapsed. Wataru used one-way telepathy to send a message to Yuito. The cause was unclear, but the Era Habaki machine controlling all of Suo capital had crashed. Because of it, the defense system had stopped, so monsters had flooded into the city. Wataru would try to find a way to restore Signet. Suddenly, Wataru saw Saren army troops, which meant the headquarters was being surrounded. It seemed they wanted a coup. Wataru was spotted by a soldier, so he had to say goodbye. This coup seemed related to Karen. Gemma couldn't believe he would go this far. But if Karen was planning a coup, that meant Yuito's father was in danger. Yuito charged forward alone to eliminate the monsters. Hanabi wondered why Yuito should also be worried about Minister Sumeragi, who was his father, but he kept walking forward. Gemma thought they should focus on their mission. Kaido stood in the observation room. He remembered that after reconnecting to the surveillance camera system, they discovered the enemy was the Saren army, but surprisingly the person standing with them was Karen. Both the backup Signet system and radio were down. They were being surrounded by the Saren army, but the emergency evacuation route was likely already exposed because there was a traitor inside. As for the council, they still couldn't contact them, so the current status of everyone and Chairman Joe was unclear. Yuito's group continued coordinating well to eliminate monsters. Yuito couldn't understand why someone praised by the people like Karen would do this. He still remembered on the opening ceremony day, Karen came to meet him and had high expectations for his abilities. Even Nagi being personality modified. What did the new Himuka government have to make Brigade Commander Karen go this far? Surely Yuito's father knew something. They kept fighting but monsters kept coming. Suddenly Tsugumi spotted Brigade Commander Fubuki approaching them. Fubuki asked which team they currently belonged to, but Captain Sito had died in battle. Fubuki thought they were Karen's subordinates, but Gemma stepped forward to explain. After hearing the explanation, Fubuki grasped the situation. Except for Gemma, everyone else here didn't belong to any team, and currently they were with Yuito, so they weren't in contact with Karen. Fubuki's side really needed allies right now, so he would take charge of these people. The current situation was that the Saren army and a group of their forces were colluding to occupy Suo. They had been incited by Karen. Currently, they had split up to evacuate civilians. Yuito's group's task was to verify the safety of Council Chairman Sumeragi. Because the Council Chairman and some members evacuated late, they were currently heading to the shelter. The Extermination Force and Defense Force were heading there, but hadn't been able to contact them. If Yuito's group went there, the chairman would also feel more at ease. Fubuki warned them to be careful because even if they encountered extermination forces, they might not be allies. The Saren army still hadn't made any moves. Could their goal be a blockade? Luca had also returned at this time. He still hadn't found any information about Karen, and the whereabouts of Keijuru and Kyoka's group were also unknown. Suddenly, the screens on the buildings displayed again, showing Karen. Karen declared, "O blind citizens of New Himuka, O fools who have avoided everything." He would topple the New Himuka government and awaken it. Even people in the shelters could see this announcement. Karen kept soothing the citizens of New Himuka while attacking the government. He claimed the government was monitoring and exploiting them. Anyone doing anything was being surveilled. All information had been controlled by the government and citizens were being domesticated. The government did this to make people become subordinates. The New Himuka government was not righteous. Karen believed this was the time to rise up and overthrow the New Himuka government. As he spoke, suddenly a group of monsters appeared behind Yuito's group. Everyone would stay and fight the monsters while Yuito would go to his father. Yuito involuntarily remembered the argument between him and his father when he was young. His father opposed him joining the extermination force, but Yuito was determined to join no matter what he said. No matter what the government had done, to Yuito his father was still his father. After fighting monsters along the way, Yuito was exhausted by now but still forced himself to keep running. As for Yuito's father, he had now arrived at the shelter. But the shelter entrance had been found by monsters. Headless corpses lined the path, attacked by brain-eating monsters. Chairman Joe was walking in the shelter when suddenly a monster appeared, but someone came and eliminated that monster. Yuito had also run to the shelter by now. He was surprised to see Kasane here. But when he saw his father slumped against the wall and the bloody knife in Kasane's hand, he understood what had happened. Suddenly, Kasane raised the knife and lunged at Yuito. At that time, Kasane woke up to find herself and everyone in a forest, with Kunad Highway on the distant horizon. No one knew what had happened. By the time they realized that things were already like this, there was an abnormal gravity around that circular thing, sucking everything up. They currently couldn't contact the other groups, but they believed if Karen had truly rebelled, then something had also happened in Suo. They then headed back to Suo, which had been completely destroyed, and the communication function couldn't be used either. They entered a place that looked like their research facility, but there shouldn't be a research facility in Suo. Shiden wondered if this was really Suo. Suddenly, Kasane saw something on the ground identical to what was at the scene when Naomi was killed. She wondered why that medicine was here. Suddenly, Karen appeared and grabbed Kasane's head, lifting her up. He copied her brain power and then disappeared. Arashi with her speed brain power chased after him but lost track. They needed to leave here to verify what had happened to Suo. When they had just left that ruined place, a man's voice rang out, asking if they still wanted to fight even though the apocalypse was coming. With that said, he rushed to attack Kasane, but she quickly caught the sword. The others rushed to attack, but were all knocked away. Suddenly, Kasane noticed the Arabaki fortune slip on this man. She asked if he was Yuito. This man also recognized Kasane, and the others too. This Yuito's eyes couldn't see. They had planned to go to Suo in 2020, but this was 2070. That meant they had been space-time transported here. Suddenly, everyone except Kasane disappeared. Being able to survive in the world after crossing time, only those with brain power can time jump. Those sucked in by that black hole would eventually be pulled back by old time. But Kasane's brain power wasn't psychokinesis. It was gravity manipulation. It only looked similar to psychokinesis but wasn't. This Yuito told Kasane she had time-jumping brain power and was a red strings possessor. So it wasn't a dream. Those red threads carried the power to transcend time. Yuito had known Kasane would come from the past, though he was somewhat skeptical. Yuito told Kasane after Karen and Saren City rebelled, New Himuka tried to protect the country. Yuito was then hailed as a national hero. His father was assassinated, and the person suspected and hunted was Kasane. But there was no way Kasane would kill Chairman Joe. After that, the conflict between Suo and Saren escalated. Yuito had to eliminate both monsters and fight brain power users on the Saren side. And during that time, it had developed the artificial black hole created by him and Kasane, called the Kunad Gate. Kasane was very surprised to learn she was one of its creators. Yuito added that both he and Kasane had gravity manipulation brain power, meaning he also had time-jumping brain power and also possessed red strings. The two of them had resonated their powers and created the Kunad Gate. In this year 2070, the Kunad Gate had become enormous and was devouring the world. Normally, that gate would appear when time jumping and disappear immediately, but due to resonating power with Yuito, it still existed. Every time Yuito used brain power, it would distort the surrounding space and devour the world. Kasane wondered if there was any way to stop it. This gate was maintained by Yuito's brain power, so as long as he died the gate would disappear. But Yuito didn't choose that option. He made excuses to everyone, claiming that even if he died the gate wouldn't dissipate. But the truth was it had developed. He could no longer die. Yuito removed his hat and sword, and asked Kasane to kill him, to return 50 years before the Kunad Gate had developed, and kill the fake hero Yuito Sumeragi. There was still a way for Kasane to return 50 years. Red strings issued commands based on emotions, at the moment of impact when the heart was damaged and fluctuated strongly. Back then, in Suo, the government had ordered research on turning humans into monsters. The bullet that made Naomi that way was a monsterization bullet, and the person who ordered the research was Yuito's father. Yuito, who was called a hero, but upon learning the truth continued the research. Many people had been turned into monsters just like Naomi. Right at this moment, Yuito dropped what was in his hand. A swarm of monsters rushed up from the stairs below. Yuito spread his arms as if welcoming death. Kill me to save the world, to save the future. At the moment of witnessing Yuito being killed by the monsters, Kasane's emotions fluctuated strongly, and those red threads appeared. Kasane was brought back to the old era. Kasane then went to Suo capital following Haruka's call. If the future Yuito was in was a world from her time jumping without returning, then surely this return would lead to a different future. However, that Kuned gate still hadn't disappeared. Kasane was running when Karen's rebellion speech appeared on the buildings. Suddenly, Kasane saw Keidru take down a monster. She followed him and arrived at the official shelter. 2 monsters blocked the entrance, but she easily defeated them. Going inside, Kasane saw Chairman Joe severely injured and barely breathing. Before he died, Kasane asked if the new Himuka government had turned Naomi into a monster. Chairman Joe said nothing upon hearing this, proving what Yuito said 50 years later was true. Right when Kasane picked up the knife on the ground, Yuito ran in. She had taken the knife and ran toward him intending to stab Yuito. The other members then also ran in, and Kasane was suspected of killing Chairman Joe. Chairman Joe tried to say something to Yuito, but before he could finish, he passed away. Kasane managed to escape to a building's rooftop. Suddenly Keidru appeared asking why she wanted to stab Yuito. Could it be she was also on Karen's side and killed Chairman Joe? Keidru had also tried to save them but wasn't in time. Kasane and Keidru then regrouped with Team Kyoka. Kasane told them what Yuito from 50 years later had said, which is why she wanted to kill Yuito in this era. Right at that moment, Karen teleported to their location, finally finding Kasane. The Arahabaki system had been restored. Kaido ordered them to continue hunting Kasane. Yuito, seeing Kasane like that, remembered the personality modification that Gemma had mentioned before. Tsugumi found Kyoka's group, but when they arrived both Karen and Keidru were also there. Luca had to quickly teleport everyone elsewhere. Now nearly half the extermination force seemed to have joined Karen and Seren's side. Right then, Yuito received a call from Kaido. He told him to come to headquarters immediately. He needed him to become a hero. Yuito's group then arrived at Kaido's office. This incident was Karen and Seren's declaration of war against the new Himuka government. According to Kaido, the assassination of Chairman Joe was also ordered by them. Since currently half the forces had joined Karen's side, they would restructure the remaining extermination force. Yuito's group would carry out missions as Squad 01, with Yuito as captain. Kaido needed Yuito to become a hero to protect New Himuka. Yuito's memory once again rewound. When he realized he was in the middle of the city, he asked everyone weren't they just at headquarters, but they didn't understand what he was saying. But one thing was certain, they had really become Squad 01 of the extermination force, with Yuito as captain. Currently, they were on patrol duty. Yuito tried to remember, but could only recall up to being called to headquarters by Kaido. He didn't remember if he had asked about the country's secrets. Luca felt something was wrong with Yuito and wanted to send him to the extermination force's hospital. On the other side, Karen also announced he would restructure the Seren extermination force, and Kyoka's team became Squad 01, with Kasane as captain. According to Karen, New Himuka was dissatisfied with social management, so they started researching turning humans into monsters. That's why Karen wanted to overthrow the New Himuka government that was researching such terrible things. When Kasane learned the New Himuka government had turned her sister into a monster, and that Naomi was in Seren, she agreed to join Karen's side. They all couldn't accept the government's methods, not to mention they were researching turning people into monsters. Those who joined Seren's side all didn't trust the New Himuka government. Karen's reputation made everyone trust him. Kasane wasn't seen anywhere when they finished assembling. She was on the rooftop trying to connect with her sister. Right then, Karen walked over. The hero who assassinated Chairman Joe was on Seren's side, so the higher-ups were very pleased. Kasane denied killing the chairman. She asked Karen where her sister was. Karen showed her information about the anomaly on Kuned Highway. It was gradually expanding and devouring everything around it. Karen already knew Kasane had been to the future, and interrogated her about what happened there. Kasane told him about meeting Karen in the future, and asked where Naomi was. But Naomi was currently being protected at the research institute. Normal people were forbidden from entering. Kasane was about to use force to make Karen talk, but Arashi ran over to interrupt, saying it was time to go on the mission. Arashi knew Kasane wanted to go to the research institute, but to oppose the higher-ups one must first pretend to be obedient. Arashi would help Kasane search for information about Naomi. but for now just obediently complete the mission. As for Yuito, he had now arrived at the hospital for examination, but the results showed nothing abnormal, just too much stress. Taking medicine would help. The other members had also finished their mission and came here to be with Yuito. The TV was showing news that the hero who saved Suo, Yuito Sumeragi, had been promoted to Squad 01 captain. But Yuito didn't even remember when they had interviewed him. Suddenly, he recalled the conversation in Kaido's room before, but was there anything else? He couldn't remember. The news also reported that the traitor Kasane had assassinated Chairman Joe. Yuito had overcome his grief and stood up to fight for New Himuka's future. Everyone also noticed Yuito was acting abnormally, so they suggested touring this hospital together. Suddenly, Hanabi noticed a woman looking a bit flustered. She was looking for a way to get to the neurology department. Hanabi gave directions to that girl, but she couldn't see the signs because she was a bell pepper, so Hanabi showed her the way. All systems in this city were designed for brain power. Only a small portion of the population were bell peppers. When Hanabi was leaving, she accidentally saw the restricted area. Nagi was being led by 2 doctors into some room. Hanabi was about to run over but needed authorization to enter. Hanabi then returned to tell the group about this. It seemed Nagi had been taken down to the basement by elevator. Wataru was also denied access to the hospital system, so he couldn't do anything. So Tsugumi used her X-ray vision skill to try to find Nagi, and discovered he was being led by doctors to a car in the underground tunnel to be taken outside the city. They seemed to be heading to Lokusho City, which had been destroyed after monster attacks 11 years ago. That was where Yuito used to live. Lokusho City had the old facility of the Extermination Force Hospital, which had been abandoned. If Nagi was still alive, Yuito wanted to meet and talk to him. So they then went to that hospital, but there was nothing around anymore. Tsugumi found the car from earlier, but Nagi wasn't in it, and as for the building they weren't sure since there were many places Tsugumi couldn't see through. There were rumors that some research was conducted here. The surrounding buildings may have been removed by the government. Yuito asked Wataru to investigate this hospital, but he couldn't access the old facility's data. As for Kasane, they were exploring the Kunad Gate. Kasane remembered the words of Yuito from 50 years later. Those words were true. Yuito had become like a different person, willing to sacrifice himself. That's why Kasane wanted to kill Yuito before he had to suffer. Meanwhile, Yuito's group had broken into that hospital. Yuito recalled memories from when he was young, and about the woman who saved him. Nagi was sitting on a chair when suddenly they received a report of intruders. Yuito's group entered a room when suddenly a monster dropped from the ceiling to attack. The whole team quickly transformed, coordinating with each other to confront the monster. Outside, the Kunad Gate was reacting more strongly. The anomaly was expanding more and more. Yuito successfully eliminated the monster. Right at that moment, Nagi had knocked out those doctors and met up with Yuito's group. Nagi had reunited with Yuito, but he wanted to run away. Suddenly, Nagi turned back and threw his weapon toward Yuito. It turned out there was a monster behind Yuito. Those doctors had woken up and activated the highest level emergency alarm. Yuito invited Nagi to return to his group. No one blamed Nagi, they just wanted to know what had happened to him. But Nagi himself didn't know anything. At that time, Nagi's mind was completely blank, like someone was stirring up his mind. Suddenly, red lights came on. A swarm of monsters rushed out surrounding them. Nagi wanted Yuito to run quickly. He would stay behind to hold them off, because Nagi himself didn't know if he would suddenly attack Yuito's group again. If they didn't run quickly, they might be turned into monsters. Although Yuito didn't want to, Nagi pushed him away, and Luca teleported them elsewhere. Nagi apologized to his teammates, fighting the monsters alone, but quickly being overwhelmed by them. Luca had now teleported them outside the hospital. They needed to leave quickly because they had discovered the government's secret. Suddenly, a large number of monsters from inside the hospital rushed toward them. As for Nagi, he had managed to defeat all the monsters and was exhausted. The doctors muttered that the experiment seemed to have gone well. Their efforts had been rewarded. Nagi was once again strapped tightly to the chair. Yuito's group also successfully escaped back to base. Fubuki had contacted them at this time. The government knew about Yuito's group's actions and was discussing punishment for them. Brigade Commander Fubuki knew about this, knew why Nagi was led there, and that matter was partly his responsibility. That hospital was used to brainwash anyone who went against the government. Nagi had witnessed Naomi transforming into a monster, so he was taken there. The other members in Yuito's group weren't experimented on because Fubuki was watching them closely. But Nagi wasn't so lucky. Hanabi and Luca felt very shocked to learn about Naomi being turned into a monster. That hospital was the new Himuka government's research facility for experimenting on brain power. They adjusted the brain to create greater power. The consequence was two side effects. One was personality modification. The other was monsterization. When exposed to specialized substances, they would become monsters. Any creature with a brain would turn into a monster. That meant the one who turned Naomi into a monster was the government. Brigade Commander Fubuki knew about this, but didn't act, because he stood with the system. He was the government's lapdog. Luca also knew about this. If they wanted to know, they could ask him. Luca told them, long ago there was a fiancée of Fubuki named Alice. She was the daughter of the former director of the Extermination Force Hospital. So she was also the fiancée of Brigade Commander Fubuki of Spring Pharmaceuticals. They had always heard that Alice died in battle, but actually she had been turned into a monster. But what happened to Alice wasn't done by the government. Luca heard there was an accident during combat. Karen and Fubuki then started investigating the cause. They discovered New Himuka was experimenting with personality modification and monsterization, and surveillance systems throughout the cities. If it was a project conducted by the New Himuka government, then both Yuito's father and his brother Kaido knew about this. Only Yuito didn't know anything. That night, Kasane ambushed the research institute where Naomi was being protected. Kasane's teammates also followed to help her. Shiden was about to say something but kept getting interrupted, which annoyed him a bit. They then broke into the research institute. The room in front of them needed a password to open. Haruka had no useful information, so Arashi showed off her hacking skills and cracked the password in a minute, successfully opening the door. This place didn't look like a research institute, but like a factory, and there was a strange smell. Kasane walked over and opened the suitcase on the table. Inside was the medicine she had found at the scene where Naomi was turned into a monster. Moreover, when she was young, Kasane had also seen something like this at home. Arashi continued exploiting security vulnerabilities to search for information. A hacker like this was truly someone no one wanted to face. Suddenly, Arashi found something, a brain. There was an eye watching them. It shot a sphere toward Kasane's group. A one-eyed monster appeared, shooting at them, but Arashi easily dodged. Haruka guided the whole group to run toward 10 o'clock direction. Kyoko used her clone to distract the monster. The whole group then arrived at a rather strange place. They looked like they had been shrunk here. Kasane observed the paintings on the wall and discovered the image of the monster was her sister. Indeed, Naomi was here. Kasane frantically ran to find her sister. Suddenly, a signal appeared. It was Naomi's voice calling Kasane. They were talking to Naomi's brain, meaning she was nearby. Naomi's response was detected, located behind the door on the right. Despite Naomi telling them not to open the door, Kasane still opened it and entered the room. Kasane ignored Naomi's protests, ran over and pulled back the curtain. Naomi was now in the form of a monster. Even now, Naomi only felt lucky that Kasane was still healthy. Kasane ran over to hug her sister and apologized. She should have been the one protecting her sister. Kyoka then asked about Naomi's condition. The people here were quite kind, still treating a monster like Naomi well. But Naomi added, after receiving the effect of that vial, it hurt a lot. Naomi wanted Kasane to leave quickly and never come here again. Forget about her. At this moment, the medicine's effect was about to wear off. Naomi urgently told them to leave quickly, but Kasane refused to go. Naomi had now lost control and attacked Kasane. Fortunately, Karen teleported her away. Then he inserted that medicine vial into Naomi, calming the monster down. Karen told them Naomi maintained consciousness thanks to that medicine's help. But this was only a temporary solution. That's why Karen needed Kasane's brain power. Before Saren's side was ready, be patient. Karen would promise to ensure Naomi's safety. But Arashi demanded Karen answer what ingredients the medicine injected into Naomi was made from. Karen muttered something that shocked them. As for Yuito, they had safely returned to headquarters. Fubuki had persuaded Kaido. But if there was a next time, it wasn't certain. A soldier handed Yuito a box. It was something the Extermination Force Hospital sent him. Inside was the medicine that had been injected into Naomi. Gemma would go investigate. Yuito's memory seemed fine. If there were problems, just use that medicine. But Luca advised him not to use it until the condition became severe. This place seemed to be where Extermination Force members had defected to Saren. Yuito looked at the medicine bottle in his hand. His memory suddenly became scrambled. He watched his teammates gradually moving away from him. They didn't find any traces at this place. but still had to keep searching because this was the only mission they could perform. Yuito remembered Fubuki's words. He was acting to correct the new Himuka government's wrongdoings. Fubuki and Karen had become comrades with a common goal. While Fubuki was investigating the cause of his fiancée Alice's monsterization, he had discovered their rehabilitation program and experiments. The two of them decided to change the country from within. But Karen wasn't the type of person the superiors liked, so Fubuki had accepted the superiors' orders to reorganize the extermination force ranks. Now that Karen had left, Fubuki no longer needed to be the government's dog. He would change this country through a different approach than Karen. This country had conducted illegal experiments on humans, so Fubuki wanted the citizens to know about that wrongdoing. Although revealing this secret couldn't compensate for the past, it would create a turning point. Yuito wanted to help. He wanted to talk to his brother Kaito. But Luca advised him to drop it because even though they were family, Kaito was still a government person. But Yuito didn't like just standing and watching after what happened to Naomi and Nagi. Fubuki advised Yuito to act carefully, because if a captain touched national secrets, then the other members would also have to be punished. The other members would help Yuito. Returning to reality, Fubuki had finished researching new security measures for the communication system. Fubuki wanted him to personally enter the security area to verify, and had successfully been trusted by Kaito to receive the password. Yuito's group was walking when they were blocked by monsters. Yuito tried to use brain power but couldn't. Hanabi protected him. Yuito tried to thank her, but his words were no longer clear. Hanabi helped Yuito to a hiding place. Inside headquarters, they received news that the Kunad Gate was still developing. It seemed like an external power source was affecting it. Yuito couldn't endure anymore and decided to drink that medicine. His brain power suddenly returned to normal. He even looked stronger. Yuito powered up, causing the Kunad Gate to also be affected. He had single-handedly eliminated all the monsters. Tsugumi spotted two trucks in the distance heading toward Saren. They seemed to come from Tojutsu, a city founded by moon worshippers. That place was Keidru's hometown. The target to search for had appeared. That night, the whole group ambushed in the forest, monitoring the actions of those two trucks. Luca used his teleportation ability to scout. Wataru couldn't find any information about this building. Suddenly, Luca found something dangerous and returned. He brought a box containing something too horrifying to look at. The whole group then broke into the building. A professor spotted them, so Luca covered his mouth. Gemma added a hit, and he passed out. Tsugumi found a card on him used to grant access to a room. This room was filled with boxes like what Luca had brought back. All of these were human brains. It seemed they were processing human brains here. Suddenly, Yuito smelled something familiar. Following it, he found a suitcase containing the medicine bottles he had drunk, which made Yuito feel nauseous. The building alarm sounded. It turned out this was the research institute protecting Naomi. If this facility's secret was exposed, Kasane wouldn't be able to protect Naomi. Yuito's team and Kasane's team then encountered each other. This was Saren's factory of Spring Pharmaceuticals, a place to research monsters. The medicine injected into Naomi was made from human brains. This research room was to fight against New Himuka. They were researching monster weapons. Their original plan was to implant human brains into monsters, then connect with SAS to control them. But the plan changed. They decided to turn strong people into monsters, and that medicine was to calm the brain. But actually, that was just an excuse for Saren's operations. Their real goal was to turn monsters back into humans. Yuito thought indeed his father had been killed by Kasane, so both groups then rushed to fight each other. Kasane wanted to kill Yuito. Kasane would protect Naomi at all costs. Both she and Yuito had the ability to control objects, so neither would yield to the other. Arashi then let Yuito's group go. They still weren't sure whether they should kill Yuito, whether they should really be on Saren's side or not. Suddenly, Kasane heard her sister crying. She rushed to Naomi's room. Naomi hadn't known that medicine was made from human brains. She had been seen by Yuito's group. If Naomi had known beforehand it was human brains, she would have definitely refused that medicine. Although reality was cruel, it was thanks to that medicine that Naomi could talk to everyone. Naomi told Kasane she couldn't bear it anymore. She didn't want to live anymore. Now she just wanted to be alone. That night, Yuito's group rested at a house in the forest. Brigade Commander Fubuki had called them here. Fubuki had heard about what happened at Saren and reported to the government that he wouldn't obstruct them. Exposing Spring family's secret would earn Fubuki the government's trust. Moreover, the one who suggested Saren build that facility was him and Karen. Yuito's group continued observing Seren's factory of Spring Pharmaceuticals. According to Fubuki, his fiancée Alice was still inside and still in monster form. Fubuki and Karen knew they had been used, so they created the research facility in Seren to protect Alice. Yuito couldn't understand what was wrong with this country. Suo was experimenting on human bodies. Seren was using human brains to research monsters. But that was exactly why they needed to act. Nagi had witnessed Naomi being turned into a monster, and to conduct research his memory of that was separated. Nagi's memory had been stolen. They used Arahabaki and sent it nationwide. Fubuki said he had been granted permission to enter the Arahabaki control area. Nagi's memory was currently being stored in that building.
Tsugumi thought that separating memories would cause brain damage.
That building was where Nagi was being held. Right then, Wataru reported they had successfully breached the security system. Yuito immediately ordered everyone to break in. On the other side, Arashi received word from Haruka that Karen was summoning all of Team Kasane. Karen had received reports that they deliberately let Yuito's group escape. Karen demanded Kasane's group use their brains next time, because even he didn't know what Seren would pull if they acted foolishly. Even though Naomi didn't want to take that medicine anymore, Karen thought only that place had the ability to save her. Additionally, Karen called them here to talk about the Kunad Gate. There was new research related to Yuito and that gate. Kaido was at the Arabaki Shrine when he received a report that they couldn't contact 2nd Lieutenant Sumeragi. Yuito? They didn't know where he was since he was on a mission, so Kaido granted that person access to the surveillance system. Yuito's group was scouting inside the building at this time, but didn't discover anything. Suddenly, a voice rang out. It was Nagi. He slowly approached Yuito's location. At headquarters, Fubuki was walking in the hallway when he was surrounded by soldiers. Minister Sumeragi had ordered him to be summoned. On the other side, Nagi was now behaving exactly like when his personality was modified. He told them that new Himuka was the one who needed to be modified. With that said, Nagi rushed forward and attacked them madly. His power had increased significantly. Suddenly, Yuito's memory started becoming scrambled again. He couldn't control objects and was captured by Nagi as a hostage. Nagi warned them he would demonstrate the punishment for national traitors on Yuito. On Kasane's side, the words of Yuito from 50 years later were completely accurate. They needed to kill Yuito. But this whole time, Kasane had only kept silent. She no longer made decisions. Shiden got angry with Kasane, saying although she had always been arrogant, he acknowledged her ability. That was also why he followed her all the way here. Shiden hoped Kasane could trust her teammates more. After being encouraged by everyone, Kasane also spoke about what she was thinking. Kasane thought they really needed to kill Yuito to save the world, but even though science had proven the connection between Yuito and the Kunad Gate, Kasane was still hesitant and wanted to find another way instead of having to kill Yuito. If that was the case, everyone would stay to think of a way together with Kasane. Kasane was moved and thanked them. Karen received word at this time that Fubuki was coming here and ordered continued surveillance. Yuito dreamed of the woman from the past. He woke up startled to find himself strapped tightly to a chair in the research institute. That doctor demanded Yuito use brain power to remove the restraints. Yuito struggled but failed. A notification appeared. The brain power suppression system had successfully proceeded, beginning processing. Not only Yuito, but his teammates were also imprisoned here on chairs. Yuito asked that doctor where this was, who he was. That doctor said he had met Yuito 17 times 11 years ago. 11 years ago, Yuito was once a bell pepper, someone without brain power, but suddenly developed brain power. That doctor continued, Yuito still had memories of being a bell pepper, so every time he used brain power, brain damage accumulated, leading to memories sometimes suddenly disappearing. According to the doctor, the success rate of treating born bell peppers nationwide was extremely low. Only a few people developed brain power, and among those few some were identified as having stronger than normal brain power. This was his first time encountering Yuito's case, so he requested to dissect him to collect treatment data for future cases. Right when that doctor was about to act, Fubuki and his teammates arrived and knocked him out. They needed to leave quickly because the extermination force knew about this and would arrive soon. Suddenly, Tsugumi detected monsters gathering ahead. Fubuki gave Yuito a one-time password to Arahabaki, telling everyone to run while he stayed to hold off the monsters. When Yuito got outside, Karen was already waiting. He said so Yuito had finally become a rebel. In the city, news outlets reported that the national hero Yuito was now considered a rebel and was being hunted. This meant Yuito couldn't return to Suo now. Karen wanted to invite Yuito to Seren's side, but Yuito refused. Both knew Himika and Seren were twisted. Both were strange. Karen asked Yuito if he planned to keep hiding with the religion in Tojisu. That was a religious autonomous zone. The new Himika government didn't touch it. Karen came to give Yuito that medicine, saying if he wanted to go to Tojisu then bring this, whether it was human blood or human brains he had to drink it. At this rate, Yuito would lose both his memory and brain power. This medicine could help extend the time, so even if he didn't want to he had to drink it. With that said, Karen entered that building. Wataru ordered them to leave quickly. Inside, Fubuki was fighting monsters at this time. He was completely exhausted and a giant monster approached him. But Karen arrived and eliminated it. That night, Kyoko saw Kasane standing deep in thought and told her to come to Tojisu together. Yuito was charged with destroying government equipment and was being hunted relentlessly. Anyone who looked like him was suspected. Things were quite bad now. Yuito was praised as a hero and now was being treated like a rebel. Wataru came to Yuito's group after meeting with Brigade Commander Fubuki. If anything happened to Yuito's group, they would have to go to Ejido to hide. They still couldn't contact Fubuki, only knowing he had left the old extermination force hospital. If not for Fubuki's rescue, Yuito would probably have had his brain dissected by that doctor by now. Yuito told everyone what that doctor said about him once being a bell pepper. But clearly he could use brain power. Yuito thought what was more important now was thinking about what to do. They couldn't return to Suo now, but Seren and Suo's situations weren't any different. Yuito suggested they should go to Tojisu because it was a religious autonomous zone. Maybe they would find some information there. Hanabi said she once heard her uncle negotiate with Tojisu about official business, but she didn't know what. Gemma thought if it was related to the Extermination Force Hospital, then it must be related to brain power research or monsterization technology. After some discussion, Yuito thought they should go to Tojisu to investigate. If the captain decided so, then the other members would follow. Kasane's group was also deciding to go to Tojisu at this time. Haruka had investigated, and the trucks going in and out of the research facility seemed to frequently travel between Tojisu and the facility. Kyoko thought the raw materials for making that medicine might be imported from Tojisu. Keijuru thought what Kyoko said was rather impossible, because his hometown only had religious groups worshipping the moon. They didn't care about monsters at all. But Arashi thought Tojisu's history was very ancient. Perhaps there was something they didn't know. They were also starting to waver in their faith in Karen. Kyoko thought they should go to Tojisu because there might be clues to save Naomi. Keijuru seemed to be trying to stop them from going to Tojisu this whole time. Arashi thought they didn't need to worry about Naomi because Karen wanted to protect the research facility at all costs, so it wouldn't be easy for Seren to raid it. So Kasane's group would go to Tojisu. Haruka would stay to monitor Seren's actions and the research facility. That night, Kasane went to see Naomi, but only heard her sister's painful screams. She swore to save her sister at all costs. Back to Fubuki, it turned out he had been saved by Karen and just woke up in the hospital bed. Fubuki remembered the day Alice enlisted was also a beautiful sunny day like this. She was very happy. Fubuki was very worried about his fiancée because she was too gentle in nature. But what they didn't expect was, they lost Alice that way. Fubuki asked Karen if nothing had happened to Alice. If she had just retired normally, what would things be like now? But Karen said thinking about it was useless, then left. Kasane's group was on the way to Tojisu. It was extremely cold there with falling snow. The whole group had stopped at the foot of a mountain trail because vehicles couldn't continue. The higher they went, the heavier the snow fell. Even in these harsh conditions, there were flowers blooming here. When the whole group was about to reach Tojisu, Kasane asked Keijuru what it looked like there. Keijuru said Tojisu wasn't actually a city, but a missionary facility, a suffocating place filled with moon-worshipping freaks. The blizzard grew stronger. They couldn't continue moving. Kyoko called Haruka asking about the weather around them, but she said according to data it was sunny there. Suddenly, Shiden spotted an ice monster in the distance. It blew a strong gust, then rushed toward them, knocking Kyoko far away. The whole team then coordinated well to eliminate that monster, and the blizzard also disappeared. It seemed the cause was that monster. The whole group then arrived at Tojisu's facility. It was unusually quiet here. No human presence could be felt. Suddenly, Keijuru said he couldn't go further because he didn't want to see the Tojisu people, then left. Suddenly 3 hooded strangers appeared, saying they had been waiting for their treasure, Lady Kasane, for a long time. Kasane didn't remember having any connection to Tojutsu, but those three said she was originally from Tojutsu. They added, since Kasane was born, she had extremely powerful brain power, and had been noticed by the new Himuka government, so they kidnapped her. Kasane thought this was nonsense because when she was young, her parents were killed by monsters. Then she was adopted by the Randall family. Kasane got straight to the point, asking if they were related to monster research. Those three strangers agreed to reveal, but only Kasane could hear, so they wanted to take her to another room. Kasane soberly refused. She thought she would tell everyone anyway after hearing. So those people decided to use force. They multiplied into many people and surrounded Kasane's group. Using ropes to bind Arashi and Shiden tightly, Kasane controlled rocks to fight back. One of them was hit and their mask broke, but her face was Kyoko's. Before Kasane could understand what was happening, she and the other two were knocked unconscious by Kyoko. Kyoko caught Kasane, thinking she had obtained the brain that could manipulate red strings, and another similar brain was also coming here. That was Yuito. Yuito's group had also arrived at the foot of that mountain and was stopped by three masked people. They greeted everyone with a welcoming tone. One of them told Yuito's group they were special guests. Surely they would find what they wanted here. With that said, they led Yuito's group to Tojutsu's facility. Yuito's group was led inside that building by them. Although a bit surprised by such a welcome, Tsugumi also didn't detect anyone suspicious, though there were some places she couldn't see through. The whole group communicated using brain talk. Wataru outside was also using the system Brigade Commander Fubuki had prepared to support the whole group. Yuito's group then entered a large room. In the middle there was a table and a chair. On the table was a book that looked like a diary. Yuito asked the man there where this was, but he only said to dialogue with history. The moon would protect them, then left. The whole group didn't understand what to do. There was no one here. It seemed to imply they should read the book on the table. Yuito walked over and sat down. Just as he was about to touch the book, on the opposite side a chair appeared. The woman sitting there was Kyoka. She asked what he desired. They were surprised and called Kyoka's name. Suddenly she spoke mechanically that she had found someone named Kyoka and began reading information. Kyoka Eden is a design children created at Tojutsu. Luca had heard about design children. They linked gene codes to design a human with appearance and brain power as desired. That Kyoka added, Kyoka was created by Dr. Hitoyo Pope. He was a master of brain science, the founder of Tojutsu religion. But Dr. Hitoyo Pope died about 2,000 years ago, around the same time as New Himuka was founded. That meant all information about New Himuka was here. If they questioned, they might learn something about the government. Yuito asked Kyoka what New Himuka was like when it was first founded. New Himuka was founded by the Hakabune Army. That was the name for immigrants who descended from the moon to Earth. Kyoka told them, in ancient times, humanity on Earth was very prosperous. But 3,000 years ago Earth suddenly changed its orbit, causing the environment to change drastically, causing the population to decrease sharply. To maintain the species, all humans migrated to the moon to build cities, and improved Earth's environment from the moon's side. Kyoka added, after 1,000 years of improvement, Earth's environment had gotten better. The government on the moon sent an immigrant group down to Earth, and that was the Hakabune Army. However, whether there were still humans on the moon currently, Kyoka couldn't know for certain because the communication signal with the moon was cut off, due to the influence of the extinction belt. The extinction belt was caused by the spring of extinction during the founding period. Although monsters appeared from the extinction belt, according to Kyoka, monsters suddenly appeared sometime after the extinction belt appeared. Yuito wanted to ask what monsters were, but Kyoka didn't know because access to Beibu was required. Although the whole group had obtained information that Suo or Saren didn't have, what Kyoka just said was too absurd. Hanabi realized if what Kyoka said was true, then Yuito or everyone on Earth were all descendants of immigrants from the moon. Yuito switched to asking about the Kunad Gate. According to Kyoka, it was a black hole. It was developing every day, predicted to devour Earth in the near future. Kyoka added, the Kunad Gate was expanding due to Yuito's brain power. Destruction was inevitable. Hanabi didn't understand why Yuito's name was here. Suddenly, the surrounding space transformed into a meadow full of flowers. Kyoka told them not to worry because as long as they believed in Tojutsu religion, everyone would be saved. The moon was protecting everyone. With that said, Kyoka slowly floated up to the sky. Yuito frantically asked about his relationship with the Kunad Gate, but she only said that wasn't the issue. What was important was correcting the universe to realize the correct future, offering departed souls to Mother Moon. The space then returned to normal. Everyone encouraged Yuito, telling him not to worry too much, because it could also be a trap. What they were concerned about now was Beibu. Suddenly a masked person came and explained to Yuito's group about Beibu. Beibu was the urban machine that Tojutsu managed, like Suo had Arahabaki. That man then led everyone away. Outside, Haruka had now completely lost contact with Kasane's group. Keiju also couldn't sit still and started acting. As for Yuito, their actions were being monitored by the group managed by Kyoka. They wanted to kidnap both Yuito and Kasane, those who could manipulate red strings, to complete their mission. Keiju had now infiltrated the facility and knocked out a guard. As for Kasane at this time, she recalled memories from when she was young. Kasane back then was playing with a puppy and her mother. Suddenly her beloved dog was killed by those strangers. They muttered that killing the pet still couldn't activate Kasane's brain power. Kasane's mother hugged Kasane to protect her. And then finally they decided to kill Kasane's mother right before her eyes. And from the day Kasane lost her mother, she became a created psychic. The power of red strings. Kasane woke up startled and found herself lying on a bed. She recalled that dream and felt sad. On the other side, Shiden was trying to pry open the door, but failed. Arashi advised him to sleep a bit, but how could he sleep? Kasane was thinking about Kyoka. She didn't expect her to betray them. Then 3 people brought clothes for Kasane. Suddenly, the facility's surveillance system went down. All 3 of those people were also knocked out. It turned out Keiju had come to rescue Kasane. Kasane suspected Keiju was Kyoka's person since he had left earlier, but he advised her to use her brain because if so, why would he come to rescue her? Keiju said he had warned them not to go to Tojutsu. Now they needed to leave here. But currently Yuito was also here, so Keiju and Kasane would go rescue both groups. Kyoka at this time also knew about Keiju's infiltration and ordered people to search. But Keiju had the ability to become invisible, so he could easily hide. Using the device taken from that guard earlier, Keiju now knew Yuito's group's current location. Yuito's group had been brought to a room with a table and a book like the previous room. Luca was suspicious because they let outsiders access this system. Yuito thought they should quickly search for necessary information then get out. But when he touched the book, no image appeared. Instead, he suddenly got stuck. His body couldn't move. The feeling was like when connecting to SAS. Yuito's group couldn't move at this time. Keiju and Kasane had arrived at the room containing the urban machine Beibu, but they didn't have permission to enter. Kasane tried to contact Yuito but couldn't. Keiju said this place was disconnected, but Kasane told him to shut up. At this rate, Yuito's brain would be taken over. Kasane said she could sense Yuito. She tried calling him using brain talk. After trying to call for a while, Yuito was able to hear Kasane's voice. She told him to disconnect quickly. Yuito tried to move, managing to pull his arm away from the book, but his teammates were immobilized. So Yuito drew his sword and cut that book in half. His teammates could also move again. They only now realized that cultist's strange attitude. Kasane said those people's goal was her and Yuito's red strings, so now they needed to leave here. But before that she needed them to rescue Arashi's group. Since Yuito was in the room containing Beibu, Kasane wanted to ask him to unlock everything here. This place needed administrative rights to control, but Luca could hack the system. Although agreeing to help Kasane's group, they would leave immediately after. As soon as Luca successfully hacked the system, the alarm suddenly rang. But Arashi and Shiden could now contact Kasane again. They would use invisibility to rescue those 2. Yuito's group had also run outside at this time. They were blocked by 3 cultists. Yuito knocked one away, but when the mask came down, inside was Kasane, which surprised him. Yuito tried to fight back against Kasane. The entrance was about to be sealed, so they had no more time for this. The whole group cleared a path and temporarily escaped from those people. Luca explained that Kasane just now was a design children. So not only Kyoka but Kasane was also a design children. Sugami detected enemies approaching, so now they needed to focus on escaping. Kasane's group had also gotten outside at this time thanks to Keiju's invisibility. Shiden thought they shouldn't let their guard down because this was still enemy territory, but Arashi said they had already been detected. With that said, Arashi called Kyoka and Kyoka revealed herself. Kyoka declared she couldn't let Kasane leave here to correct the universe. The 2 sides then rushed to fight. Arashi dodged like lightning. The others also fought back. Kasane advised Kyoka to stop this immediately, but Kyoka said Tojutsu's wish was to use Kasane's red strings to achieve the correct future. Kasane shouted in Kyoka's face that this Kyoka wasn't the person she knew. Wake up already. but Keiju thought Kyoka's self was only artificial, so it probably wouldn't register. Kasane rushed toward Kyoka, but was kicked far away by her, to the point she couldn't continue fighting. Arashi quickly caught Kasane. Kyoka removed her battle gear and was about to approach, but Shiden stopped her. Kyoka apologized to them. She wasn't Hatoya Pope, but Kyoka Eden. She loved Kasane and the team members. They couldn't understand why Kyoka did this, and who Pope was, so Keiju explained. Pope was the founder of Tojutsu religion, had authority in brain science, and Kyoka was a design children created based on that Pope's genes. Kyoka said she had Pope's memories and acted based on her thoughts, protecting Kasane until she awakened red strings, then luring her to Tojutsu. All was Pope's and Tojutsu's wish. Kyoka didn't know what she actually was. Kasane said she also once didn't know what she was, but whatever it was, there were things that couldn't be changed. Those were precious memories. Kasane said surely Kyoka was the same. Kyoka had accepted her and everyone in the team, always warm and kind, cherishing them until now, so no matter what happened, Kyoka was still their captain. Kasane said that was Kyoka's true self. Kyoka, hearing this, started crying and dropped her weapon. Although Kyoka had apologized to everyone, Arashi was still cautious because this could also be a trap. Kasane asked Kyoka what she planned to do next. Would she give up being a spy and return to Tojutsu? Kyoka said she was a design children created to carry out missions, so failure meant only death. But that was in the past. Now she wished to stand alongside everyone. Kyoka wanted to protect everyone, because her meaning of living was thanks to everyone. The whole group now also trusted her, because these were the words from the Kyoka they knew. Haruka now also reported receiving a signal from Yuito's group. It seemed they had also escaped safely. Kasane suggested the whole group go meet with Yuito's group, and of course Kyoka would go together with everyone. The team members seemed worried about Yuito meeting Kasane, because before she had killed his father and wanted to take his life too. But Yuito thought what Kasane did must have had some reason. Yuito's group and Kasane's group then met. Currently they needed to talk, so Kasane would temporarily put aside taking Yuito's life. Talking here wasn't convenient, so Keiju led them to his secret base. Yuito then asked Kasane why she wanted to take his life. The matter was a bit absurd, but he hoped he would listen. Kasane said she wanted to take Yuito's life because she had been asked by him from 50 years in the future. Yuito's group was quite surprised, but if they hadn't experienced it, then being surprised was natural. Kasane recounted. When she and Yuito went to Kunad Highway, they saw a strange scene. At that time, she and Arashi's group had been transported 50 years into the future. Kasane said she possessed red strings, brain power that could jump through time, and Yuito also had it. She added, her red strings and Yuito's brain power had resonated and created the Kunad gate that couldn't be closed. The world had been devoured 50 years later, but future Yuito said as long as Yuito died, the Kunad gate would disappear. That's why he wanted Kasane to kill Yuito in the past. Yuito didn't want to believe it, but the truth was he had an effect on the Kunad gate. Hanabi suddenly asked if Kasane was a design children, because they had seen those cloned Kasanes. Kasane also agreed with them, because before that she had recalled childhood memories when at Tojutsu, they had called her a design children. Kasane then also asked for information from Yuito's side. Yuito told her about humans coming from the moon, but the other group also couldn't believe this. Yuito recounted the environment changing. Humans couldn't live on Earth, so they migrated to the moon. Then 1,000 years later they returned and established a nation called New Himuka. Shiden thought this was absurd, but Keiju said that truth was correct. Both the migration to the moon and returning to Earth to establish New Himuka. Kyoka felt confused about Keiju, because Pope's memories of him still remained. But Pope died 2,000 years ago. Hanabi wondered who Keiju was, and what building they were sitting in. Keiju didn't hide anything. They were inside Hakabune, meaning the spaceship. Keiju said he had boarded this ship as one of the immigrant group from the moon to Earth. Back in Suo City, Fubuki was still lying in the hospital bed, while Kaito was going to Arabaki Shrine. Kaito swore to fulfill the Sumeragi family's wish by using Yuito, and Karen stood under the cherry blossom tree, swearing this time he would definitely save this world.